Good day everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Ma'am Shei, your guide in learning Mathematics 9. For this week, we will be discussing the quadratic inequalities. If you are new in this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more video updates. The most essential learning competencies that we will be achieving at the end of this lesson are: first, illustrates quadratic inequalities. Second, solve quadratic inequalities. And lastly, we will also solve problems involving quadratic inequalities. Tara! Halina at tayo ay matuto!
First, let us do a warm-up activity. This is your learning task number 1. You have to complete the table below by identifying whether the given is quadratic inequality or not. Put a check mark in the column of your choice, then answer the questions that follows. You have 3 minutes to do this activity. You may pause this video while you are answering. Good luck!
Before we begin discussing your learning task number 1, let us first define what is a quadratic inequality. It is a mathematical statement that relates a quadratic expression as either less than or greater than another. To consider it as an example of a quadratic inequality, it should possess the following conditions. First, it should be in the degree of 2. And second, it should have an inequality symbols. What are these inequality symbols? The inequality symbols are this one, as well as this. This symbol pertains to correct, that is greater than. What about this one? Very good. So this refers to less than. How about our third symbol? That is right. This stands for greater than or equal. And for our last symbol, this refers to less than or equal.
Let us study these illustrative examples. Let us determine whether the given mathematical statements are quadratic inequality or not. First, we have 3x squared minus 6x minus 2. Is this a quadratic inequality or not? Is this satisfies the two conditions? First is it should be in the degree of 2. And another, it should have an inequality symbols. Correct. This is not a quadratic inequality. Why? Yes, though it is in the degree of 2, we can't see an inequality symbols. So therefore, this is just an expression. This is not a mathematical statement. Another one. We have x squared minus 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. Is this a quadratic inequality or not? Again, let us classify the two conditions. First, it should be in the degree of 2 and it should have an inequality symbols. Very good. So this is not still a quadratic inequality. Why? Okay, so this is a mathematical statement and this is in the degree of 2. But take note that it does not have an inequality symbol. Rather, it is an equal sign. So therefore, this is not quadratic inequality. Rather, it is an example of quadratic equation. Kasi po, may equal sign. So let us try another one. The given is x minus 2x minus 8 is greater than or equal to 0. Is this an example of quadratic inequality or not? Okay, so let us consider the two conditions. First, it should be in the degree of 2, and second, it has an inequality symbol. So if you notice, it has an inequality symbol, but is it in the degree of 2? Okay, so this is not. So this is in the degree of 1 only. So this is not an example of quadratic inequality. How about this one? X minus 5 times x minus 1 is greater than 0. Is it quadratic inequality or not? Very good. So this is an example of quadratic inequality. Why? Okay, let us consider the two conditions. First, it has an inequality symbol. So check tayo doon. Is it in the degree of 2? Okay, so if you notice, this is a tricky statement. Why? Or tricky expression, right? We cannot actually see the second degree power of this expression, but in order to do that, we have to simplify it. So x minus 5 times x minus 5, x minus 1. You notice naman, the product of two binomial will result to trinomial. So applying the FOIL method, we have x times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. So we have negative 5x. Okay, so ito yun x times x, x squared. And then x times negative 1, we have negative x. Negative 5 times x, we have negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 1 is equal to positive 5. So, greater than 0. Now, combining like terms, ito po. So, that would become x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to, is greater than 0. If you notice, it is already in the degree of 2. So, therefore, it is an example of quadratic inequality. How about this one? We have x squared minus 5x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 0. Is this a quadratic inequality or not? Good job. So this is a quadratic inequality because it satisfies the two conditions. First, it is in the degree of 2 and it has an inequality symbol. How about this one? R squared plus 10r is less than negative 16. Is it an example of quadratic inequality? Correct. So this is again a quadratic inequality. So it is in the degree of 2 and it has an inequality symbol. After learning how quadratic inequality looks like, now let us discuss your learning task number 1. So let us see if you got it correctly. Now, for your given number 1, we have x squared minus x minus 6. Is this an example of quadratic inequality or not? Yes, very good. So this is not a quadratic inequality since it doesn't have an inequality symbol. Second, 3x squared minus 4x minus 7 is equal to 0. Quadratic inequality or not? That's correct. Again, this is not a quadratic inequality. Why? Because it has an equal sign. So, meaning this is an example of quadratic equation. How about number 3? X minus 4 times x minus 2 is greater than 0. Quadratic inequality or not? What is your answer? Very good. So, you got it correctly. So, we have quadratic inequality. Since it is, when you simplify this expression, this will result to in the degree of 2, and then we also have an inequality symbol. Another, x squared minus 8x minus 16 is less than or equal to 0. Is this quadratic inequality or not? That's right, you got it right. So this is a quadratic inequality since it is in the degree of 2 and it has an inequality symbol. And for the last one, we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 10 is greater than 0. Is it quadratic inequality or not? Yes, that's it. So this is again a sample of quadratic inequality because it is in the degree of 2 and it has an inequality symbol which is greater than. So how was it? Did you get it correctly? Very good. That is nice to hear. Let us now discuss quadratic inequality in one variable. So this is an inequality that contains polynomial whose highest exponent is 2. Its general forms are the following where a, b, and c are real numbers with a is greater than 0 and a should not be equal to 0. Okay? So these are the general forms of quadratic inequality. We have ax squared plus bx plus c is greater than 0. We also have ax squared plus bx plus c is less than 0. And another ax squared plus bx plus c is greater than or equal to 0. And of course, ax squared plus bx plus c is less than or equal to 0. So these are the quadratic inequality in one variable. So we will be discussing how to solve quadratic inequality in one variable. In solving quadratic inequality, we can arrive to many solutions or many possible solutions. Unlike the quadratic equations where we can have at least two solutions, here in quadratic inequality, we can have many possible solutions. And these are what we call the solution set. It is in a quadratic inequality, the solution set can be written as a set and can be illustrated through a number line. So we can rewrite it into a set wherein we can have the value or the numerical value of x, and also it can be illustrated through a number line. So by the way, what is a number line? Very good. So a number line is a line wherein we can see the positive and the negative integers. So if you notice, all the numbers are constructed evenly. So they have equally distant from each other. Okay? The distance are equally to one another. So here we have 0, which is our origin. 0. On the left side, we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and negative 6, and so on and so forth. This arrow that extends to the left means it is extended here up to infinity. So we can also see there the negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, and so on and so forth. While in the right side of our number line, we can see the positive numbers, wherein we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, the line or the arrow from the right side that extends to the right side means we have many numbers next to 6, which are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, up to infinity. So, walang katapusan yan. They can be extended to both directions. Okay? So, we will use this depends on the given quadratic inequality. So, this is the solution set, or this is the number line. Now, let us try to illustrate this given. We have x is greater than negative 1. Again, x is greater than negative 1. So, how are we going to illustrate it to or through a number line? So, this is how. So, you will, in your graphing paper, you will draw a number line. Equidistant sila ha. The numbers are equidistant to one another, meaning pare-parehas po ang distansya nila. Okay, so kaya po I prefer that you will use your graphing paper para 'di ba grid na may mga grid na 'yan, so you will just follow the lines. So you will have the negatives and the positive numbers. And then how are we going to illustrate x is greater than negative 1? So negative 1 is our critical point. So we will point here, we will draw a point here sa ating negative 1. So if you notice, I use hollow point. Actually, we have two kinds of points. We have the hollow points and the solid point. Pag sinabing hollow point, okay, walang laman yung loob. Ano? This is just a circle na walang laman or walang shade yung loob. So this is a hollow circle since we use greater than. When we use greater than or less than, we will use the hollow circle. So this hollow circle is our, okay, so ito yung point natin, so negative 1. And then, let us determine, ang x daw is greater than negative 1. Alin ba yung mas malaki? Alin ba yung mga numbers na mas malaki kay or greater than negative 1? Is it negative 2, negative 3, negative 4? Okay. This is not. Kasi po, negative 2, negative 3, kapag negative numbers po, pagtaas ng value, pagtaas ng numbers, meaning pagbaba ng kanyang value. Okay? And then, or simply, paglayo sa 0, pag dito, sa pa-left side natin, ay pagbaba ng value. Dito naman sa positive numbers natin, ayan, pagpunta siya sa right side, meaning pataas yung numbers. Okay? Sa paglaki ng value. So, alin po dyan ang mga values that are greater than negative 1? Very good. So, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on and so forth. So, therefore, how are we going to illustrate it? We will draw a line, ayan, an arrow line that will show, isi-shade ninyo. You will shade it, you may use another color of pen or crayon in shading your number line para maipakita natin that this is the solution set. So this is the solution set wherein it is illustrated in a number line. Okay? Ibig sabihin po nitong may shade, ito po lahat ang possible values of x. It could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Because these numbers are greater than negative 1. 0 is greater than negative 1. Correct. 1 is greater than negative 1. That is true. 2 is greater than negative 1. That is true. And so on and so forth. Okay? Did you understand? Let us try another. In our given number 2, we have y is less than or equal to negative 1. Less than or equal to negative 1, meaning, okay, we will, since this has an equal sign, ibig sabihin, we will use the solid circle. Why? Solid circle means it has or the point or the critical point is also included. Kasi or equal yan eh. Less than or equal sa negative 1. Meaning, the negative 1, which is the critical point, the negative 1 is also included in the solution set. Did you understand? So here, again, we will draw a number line and then we will put a point, draw a point in the critical point, which is negative 1. And since negative 1 is included, we will use the solid circle or solid point. Okay, naunawaan nyo ba ang pagkakaiba ng solid and the hollow? If the critical point is included in our solution set, meaning we will use solid point. Now, where is the shaded part? Is it the left side or the right side? We will base it on our given. The given is y is less than or equal to negative 1. Mas maliit daw kay negative 1. Mas maliit or equal kay negative 1. Alin po yung side na yon? Is it the left side or the right side? That's it. Very good. So that is the left side. -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on and so forth are the possible solutions of our or values of our y. So this is what we call the solution set. Okay? Next, number 3. Y is greater than or equal kay -1 naman. Mas malaki naman or equal kay -1. So, how are we going to illustrate it? Alright, so we will draw a number line. The critical point is -1 and we have the inequality is, okay, greater than or equal. So, meaning -1 is included kasama. So, we will use again the solid point. Here, since this is the critical point, we have -1. What are we going to do? Okay, that's it. We will decide whether which part is the shaded part or the solution set of our given. Ang y daw ay mas malaki kay -1. Alin ba yung mga numbers na mas malaki kay -1? Is it the left side or the right side? Very good. That is the right side. So, therefore, you will shade the right portion or the right side of your number line. So, you will use the colored pen or color any coloring materials. Okay, so to see which part is shaded or the solution set of our given inequality, which is y is greater than or equal to -1. Now, how are we going to illustrate this part given? We have x is greater than 1. So again, we will draw a number line. So the critical point is 1. So we will draw a circle here. What kind of circle? Is it hollow or solid circle? Correct. So that is a hollow circle. Why? Kasi 1 or the critical point is not included. Kasi sabi, x is greater than 1. Meaning, ang 1 ay hindi kasali. Now, which side is greater than 1? Very good. So that is the right side. So you have to shade this part. Okay. So this is the illustration of x is greater than 1. How about this 5 example? We have x is less than 1. So, again, you will draw a number line. X is less than 1. So, the critical point is 1. Again, 1 is not included. So, therefore, we will draw a hollow circle. So, again, less than 1 naman daw. Mas maliit naman kay 1. Which side ang mas maliit or less than 1? Correct. So, that is the... Okay, very good. So, that is the left side. To have a better understanding on the illustration of an inequality, you have to remember the following symbols and the circles to be used. If the symbols are less than and greater than, you will use the hollow circle, which means that the critical points are not included. So, hindi kasama, or hindi kasali, or hindi kabilang. While, if the symbols used are less than or equal and greater than or equal, therefore, the circle to be used is the solid circle, which means that the critical points are included. Kaya nga, yung statement na equal, kasali. Ano? Less than or equal. Mas maliit o equal mismo doon sa critical point na yon. So, meaning to say that critical point or the critical points are included. Okay? So, these are the things that you have to remember in illustrating your inequality. This time, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic inequality. So, we have the given is find the solution set of 3x squared minus 3x minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. So, how are we going to do this? So, this is our solution. First, of course, if the given is 3x squared minus 3x minus 18 is less than to 0. The first step that we need to do is to transform into an equation. Instead of using the symbol, the inequality symbol, we will use the equal sign. So that is the first step in solving quadratic inequality. Class, when we say solving, we are going to find the value or the values of x. Kaya nga po, solution set ang hinahanap natin kasi in an inequality, we can have many possible solutions. Hindi lamang isa, hindi lamang dalawa. So we can have many possible solutions. Now, in transforming this into an equation, ayan po. So, we have 3x squared minus 3x minus 18 is equal to 0. So, napalitan natin yung less than or equal into equal signs. After that, so okay na tayo sa transform into an equation, the first step. And for the second step, we will solve the equation. So, we will solve it applying what we have learned in solving quadratic equation since ang given na natin ay quadratic equation na. So, here I will use the factoring. In factoring, let us find the factors of 3x squared. So, we have 3x and x. And factors of 18, negative 18, that will result to negative 3x. That would be 6 times 3. Correct? Since this is negative, so therefore, ang isa ay negative at ang isa ay positive. Now, to make it negative 3x, this should be positive and the other one is negative. So, paano natin i-check yan? 6x to, 6 times x, we have 6x. 3x times negative 3x, that is negative 9x. And 6x tsaka negative 9x will result to negative 3x. Okay? Now, in solving this, in order to solve this, or the value of x, we will form two linear equations. Equate natin parehas into 0. So, this one is 3x plus 6 is equal to 0, and the other one is x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now, unahin muna natin ang first equation. In order to find for x, we will transpose positive 6 to the other side. That became 3x equals negative 6. And in order to eliminate 3, at para ma-solve natin si x, we will divide both sides by 3. So, 3x divided by 3, we have x. Negative 6 divided by 3, that is equal to negative 2. So, our x sub 1 is negative 2. While here, sa other equation natin, x minus 3 is equal to 0. Negative 3 will be transposed into the other side, so that will become x is equal to 3. So, that is our x sub 2. Again, we already solved the equation. After finding the values of x sub 1 and the x sub 2, or the roots of our quadratic equation, which are negative 2 and positive 3, that will serve as our critical point. So, what do we mean by critical points? Okay, so we will use the critical points to obtain our intervals in the number line. Next is, we will draw a number line. Now, when we say critical points, okay, dyan tayo magbabasa ng intervals natin. We will plot the negative 2 in our number line. Okay, so this is it. So, ayan, i-plot lamang natin. Negative 2. I use solid circle since the given is, yan, ang inequality symbol na given is less than or equal. So, therefore, it stands that the critical points are also included. Now, positive 3, ayan, mag-plot din tayo ng points sa positive 3 sa ating number line. Okay, so, after finding or plotting the critical points, may nabuo tayong intervals. This is the first interval. Mula dito kay negative 2, papuntang left side. This is the first interval. Next, ito yung first interval natin. Yan. This is our first interval. Okay? Medyo nahirapan lang ako magsulat na. First interval. Now, ang ating second interval will be from negative 2 up to, ayan, up to 3. So, this is our second interval. Now, for our third interval, we have, ayan, mula dito kay 3 papunta sa, ayan, into infinite. To infinite na yun, papunta sa right side natin. And this will be our third interval. So, nakabuo ngayon tayo ng tatlong intervals from our 2 critical points. Now, what are we going to do next? Yan. After that, we have to choose a test point in each interval to determine the solution set. What do we mean by test point? Kukuha po tayo ng points from each interval, kada isang interval. Kahit anong point. It could be, for example, sa first interval natin, we can use x is equal to -3. Pwede to. Pwede rin namang -4, pwedeng -5, pwedeng -6. Okay? Okay. Next, for our second interval, we will use any point that can be seen in the second interval. Mula dito hanggang doon. So, we have -1, 0, 1, 2. Pwede rin naman yung may mga point. Yung mga point between 1 and 2, for example. Yan. So, I will use here, or I choose x is equal to 0. Ma'am, how about kung ang napili ko po ay 1? Mag-iiba po ba yung sagot ko sa sagot nyo? Okay, hindi po. Of course, may iba kasi yung solution nyo, iba yung ginamit nyo. But, still, kung ano yung hinahanap natin na importante ay makaka-arrive lang tayo on the same answer. Ano ba yung hinahanap natin na yun? Our goal is to determine, kaya po tayo nagtatest point, is to determine whether that point will satisfy our given inequality. Kung magtutrue ba siya or mag-false. Kapag nag-false, meaning hindi siya part ng solution. Kapag nag-true, part siya ng solution. Okay? Next, for our third interval, I choose 4. So, pwede naman ang 5, pwede ang 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on and so forth. So, kahit anong number from our intervals ay pwede. Now, let us first have our first interval. When I choose x is equal to -3, so meaning to say, that would be the value of x na isi-substitute natin dito sa ating given quadratic inequality. Saan ko yan nakuha? Given po yan. 3x squared minus 3x minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. Instead of writing x, I will write -3. Isi-substitute. So, ito yan. Yung x ay naging -3. Ayan. Nakuha? Okay, after that, simplify lamang natin. So, 3 times -3 times -3 kasi sabi dyan, -3 squared. So, that is +9. Now, -3 times -1, we have, very good, +9. Then, just copy -18 and less than or equal to 0. I-simplify pa ulit. Meron pang pwedeng i-simplify. 3 times 9. 3 times 9 is 27. Then, +9 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. Now, i-simplify natin ang 27 plus 9. What is the answer? Correct. 36 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. And 36 minus 18 is equal to 80. So, 18 is less than to 0. Okay, natapos na natin. 18 is less than to 0. So, ito na yung judgment time. I-judge natin whether that statement is true or false. Tama ba o mali? Ang 18 ba ay less than or equal to 0? Again, ang 18 ba ay mas maliit or equal kay 0? Very good. So, the answer is false. So, this is not a true solution. Kapag po or once you have false here, false statement sa ating first interval, meaning to say, lahat ng makikita nating points mula sa first interval ay hindi po solution. So, wala po dyan. Kahit itry nyo yung -4, -5, -6, lagi yung magpo-false. Did you understand? Now, let us proceed with the second interval. I chose 0. Bakit? Kasi mas madali pong mag-times ng 0, di ba? Let us see. We will have the original equation or inequality. We have 3x squared minus 3x minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. Kapag sinubstitute ko into 0, ang value ng x, ito po mangyayari. So, 3 times 0 squared, that is 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Then, -18 is less than to 0. 3 times 0, 0 plus 0, -18. Ayan. So, di ba, natira na lang. Makakancel mo na kasi yan kasi tinimes yun ng 0. So, natira na lang ay -18 is less than or equal to 0. Now, let us judge. Let us decide. Is -18 less than or equal to 0? Ang negative 18 ba ay mas maliit or equal to 0? That is correct. Very good. So that is true. This is a true solution. Ibig sabihin pala, lahat ng values na makikita natin sa ating second intervals are part of the solution set of our quadratic inequality. So kahit po itry nyo yung 1, magtutrue po yan. Ang 2, magtutrue din yan. Okay? Let us try third interval. Hindi naman porke po nakuha na natin na second interval ay true, ay okay na yan. At sasabihin natin na false na yung third. No. Kasi pwede naman sabihin na, pwede naman tayo magkaroon na ito ay part ng solution, ito pwede rin siyang mag-true. Ano? So let us try this third interval wherein x is equal to 4. Substitute natin. So, we have 4, 4, 4. Ayan. So, 4 squared, we have 16. 3 times 4, we have 12. Negative 18 is less than or equal to 0. What is 3 times 16? Correct. So, that is 48. 48 minus 12 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. 48 minus 12 is, the answer is 36. 36 minus 18 is less than 0. And 36 minus 16 or 18 is equal to 18. 18 is less than to 0. True or false? Very good. So that is false. So meaning to say, we only have one interval, and that is the second interval, which is the solution set of our quadratic inequality. So after po niyan, nakuha na natin yung test points, na-check na natin. So pwede na nating ipakita yung answer natin or ipakita yung solution set sa ating using a number line. We can have two. It could be represented or it could be written in a set, or it could be written in a number line or illustrated in a number line. So therefore, this is the shaded part. Ayan. So nilagyan natin ng kulay or shade natin yung second interval. So that indicates that this part this part is part of the solution set of our quadratic inequality. Okay, so check nga natin, tunay kaya na lahat ng points dito ay mag-true? Check natin, kunin natin yung negative 1. Negative 1, pag sinubstitute po natin, that will result to 1 times 1 is 1, negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 3 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. 3 plus 3, okay, we have 6 minus 18 is less than to 0. And 6 minus 18, the answer is correct. So we have negative 12 is less than or equal to 0. So meaning to say, that is a true solution. Correct. Now, try naman natin yung x is equal to 2. Kapag ang x ay 2, 3x squared minus 3x minus 18, substitute natin. 2 squared, we have 3 times 4. Negative 3 times 2, we have negative 6 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. 3 times 4 is correct. So we have 12 minus 6 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. 12 minus 6, very good. 6 minus 18 is less than or equal to 0. And 6 minus 18 is negative 12 is less than or equal to 0. Again, this is a true solution. So kahit po alin dito sa mga points na makikita natin sa ating shaded part or for the second interval are all solutions of our quadratic inequality. Now, sabi nga natin, we can also write it into a set. If we will write it into set, that would be, ang x daw ay, ng negative 2? Ang x ay mas malaki or mas maliit kay negative 2? Okay, so that is, mas malaki kay negative 2 kasi nasa right side siya. So, mas malaki, greater than, nakabuka kay x. Ito si x, nakabuka kay x, kaya greater than or equal kay negative 2. And also, kay positive 3 naman, mas malaki or mas maliit kay positive 3? Very good. Mas maliit kay positive 3. So, therefore, ang x din ay less than or equal kay positive 3. Okay? So, therefore, this is our solution set. So, x is greater than, this is how we read it. X is greater than or equal to negative 2, but less than or equal to positive 3. Did you understand? Alright. For your learning task number 2 on page 24 of your module, for your letter A, you have to graph the following on a number line. So please do it on a graphing paper. Okay, so para saktong-sakto yung ating line, you will also use your ruler, okay? Para straight line. Now, for given number 1, we have x is greater than positive 2. Again, x is greater than positive 2. So, how are we going to represent it in a number line? Of course, you will draw a number line. Next, ang critical point natin is 2. Asan si 2? Ayan. So, magpo-point tayo dito. Solid or hollow? Very good. We have hollow point kasi greater than yung ginamit natin. This is a hollow point, and then which side represent that x is greater than 2? Ang x daw ay mas malaki kay 2. Which one? The left side or the right side? Very good. That is the right side. Lahat ng mga numbers makikita natin sa right side ay mas malaki kay positive 2. So, therefore, you will shade it. Okay, that's it. Ganyan lamang. That is how you will graph the following given on a number line. So, that is your, this will be your turn na. Your turn, please do illustrate the item number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Our 2 states that x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Number 3, x is greater than 5. 4, x is less than negative 4. And 5 is x is greater, less than, or equal to 5. Again, x is less than or equal to positive 5. For your learning test number 2 on letter B, that your task is to write the inequality. So, kabaliktaran naman ito ng ginawa natin from our learning task number 2, letter A. Kung sa letter A, we graph it, this time, ang given naman dito ay graph. Your task is to write naman the inequality. So, this is how. Let me show you the graph number 1, ang given natin ay ito. Wherein, ang critical point natin ay 4, at ang may shaded part natin ay yung right side. Now, how will you write the inequality? So, if I'm going to write the inequality in terms of x, so x will become, x is what? Greater than or less than 4. Alam ba yung may shaded part? Okay, itong right side. So, ibig sabihin, 5, 6, 7 ay mas malaki kay 4. So, I will use greater than 4. I use greater than since it is a hollow circle. Gets? Okay, so I know you are for your, okay, this will be your turn. So, you will do number 2. Ang given natin ay, ayan, ang critical point ay negative 16 and the shaded part is the left side. Next, number 3, we have, ayan, ang critical point natin is negative 20 and then the shaded part is the left side. Next, number 4, ang critical point natin is negative 2 and the shaded part is again the left side. So, you will, this is your turn. Write the inequality. On page 25 for your learning task number 3, states that tell whether the given statements below illustrate quadratic inequality in one variable or not. You may translate into mathematical symbols to justify your answers. So, ang given dyan ay in the form of a verbal sentence. No? So, let's try this number 1. 4 more than thrice number is greater than 40. So, you have to apply how to represent the following words or phrases into mathematical symbols or mathematical expressions or statements. Now, 4 more than thrice number is greater than 40. So, how we're going to represent it? So, of course, let us x be the number kasi hindi naman sinabi. Sabi lang, 4 more than thrice a number. Ang 4 daw, mas malaki ng triple nung number na yon ay greater than 40. If we have x as number, so therefore, our solution will be 4. Okay, we will begin with 4. 4 more than thrice a number. More than means addition. Ano ang operation ay addition? 4 more than, pabalik tayo. 4 more than thrice a number. Titriplihin daw yung x. So that is 3x. Is greater than 40. Is greater than 40. So this is an inequality symbol. So that represent as, ayan, is greater than. Mas nakabuka sa kanila. Ano? Is greater than 40. Alright. So this is your representation or your mathematical statement. So we have 3x plus 4 is greater than 40. Okay? So is this illustrates a quadratic inequality or not? Okay, very good. So this is not a quadratic inequality since it has a degree of 1. No? Nasa degree of 1 lamang tayo, though it has an inequality symbol. Okay, so this is not a quadratic inequality. Let us now discuss your second given. The length of the floor is 8 meters longer than its width, and the area is greater than 20 square meters. So how are we going to do this? Let us represent it or illustrate it into quadratic inequality. Translate natin into mathematical symbols. Ang length daw ng floor is 8 meters longer than its width. So meaning to say, alam natin kung ano yung value ng length, which is 8 meters longer. 8 meters na mas malaki kay width. So alam ba natin yung kay width? Hindi po. So therefore, we will represent, the width is the unknown. We will represent it as x. Let x be the width. If ang width natin ay x, so therefore, ang length natin is, sabi dyan, 8 meters longer. Mas malaki ng 8 meters, so therefore, that is x plus 8. That is our length. And the area is greater than 20 square meters. So we all know that, in forming the equation, the area for the rectangular shape is length times width. So length times width is equal to area. If length times width is equal to area, we will have or we will substitute the values. Ang length natin is x plus 8 and then the width is x. So ita-times lang natin x plus 8 times x is equal to area. But take note that in our given problem, sabi dyan, the area is greater than 20 square meter. Itong area daw na to is greater than, mas malaki ng, okay, mas malaki sa 20 square meters. So this is how you represent it. Is this a quadratic inequality or not? Okay, so hindi pa natin masabi kasi, di ba? And just by just looking, hindi natin masabi if the degree is 2. But we can simplify it. In simplifying it, we will use the distributive property, which is x times x is x squared, and then positive 8 times x is, we have positive 8x. Is greater than 20. So our given is, or our fourth equation is x squared plus 8x is greater than 20. Is this a quadratic inequality or not? Very good. So this is a sample of quadratic inequality. Why? Kasi yung degree natin is in the degree of 2. And then we also use the inequality symbol. Okay? And for our last statement, our given is the width of a rectangular plot is 5 meters less than its length. And its area is 84 square meters. So, here, we can actually tell if it is quadratic inequality or not. But we have to translate it into mathematical symbol to justify our answer. So, in translating it into mathematical symbol, ang hinahanap or the unknown would be, okay, that is the length. Kasi ang width daw ay 5 meters less than its length. So, meaning x would be our length. Now, the width is x minus 5 since the width is 5 less than the length. So x minus 5 is equal to width. And our equation will be, again, we will apply the length times width is equal to area. Ang length natin is x times the width, which is x minus 5 is equal to 84. Sabi dyan, no? The width of a rectangular plot is 5 meters less than its length, and its area is 84 square meters is equal to 84 square meters. So, ibig sabihin, equal yung ating ginamit. So, again, x times x, we have x squared. X times negative 5, we have negative 5x is equal to 84. Is this an example of quadratic inequality? Correct. So, that is not a quadratic inequality. Why? How are we going to justify our answer? Okay, very good. So, this is an example of quadratic equation since the symbol used is an equal sign. We're done recalling how to translate verbal sentences into mathematical symbols or mathematical statements. Now, let us try to solve problems involving quadratic inequality. We have steps to follow. First, of course, you have to read and understand the problem thoroughly. Okay? If you have to reread it as many times, do it. Number 2, identify the given conditions and the unknown, just like what we did in translating verbal statement into mathematical symbols. You have to consider the given conditions and identify the unknown. Okay, it will help you to clearly represent the given. Now, number 3, represent the unknown using the variable. Any variables may do. Sanay lang tayo sa gamit ng x. For number 4, after finding or representing the given, you have to devise an equation or inequality that corresponds to the given conditions and the unknown in the problem. And of course, 5, you have to solve for the unknown. That is by applying what we have learned in solving quadratic inequality. And for lastly, you have to check your answer whether it will satisfy our given condition in our problem. Okay, are you ready to solve problems? Okay, so let us begin. Here is our sample given problem. Mrs. Rina is planning to fence her vacant lot for a parking space. The desired length of the lot is 6 meters longer than its width. What will be the possible dimensions of the rectangular parking space if it should be less than 40 square meters? Again, so for the first step, in solving problems involving inequalities, you have to read and understand the problem. So let us read it and understand. Did you understand the given problem? Okay, kung hindi naunawaan, basahin muli. Mrs. Reyna is planning to fence her vacant lot for our parking space. It is very important that you also know each vocabulary words given in our problem. To fence means bakod, no? Babakudan daw niya yung vacant lot para sa kanyang parking space. Ang desired length, yung gusto niyang length of the lot is 6 meters longer than its width. Mas malaki daw ng 6 meters kesa doon sa width. What will be the possible dimensions of the rectangular parking space if it should be less than 40 square meters? Now, after understanding and reading the problem, we will proceed with the second step. Identify the given conditions and the unknown. Ang given conditions natin ay ano ba? So yan, ginamit yung length natin. Sinabi that the length should be 6 meters longer than its width. So meaning to say, unknown natin ay ang width. And then, we are also looking na yung possible dimensions daw nila, it should be less than 40 square meters. Kapag pala yung area should be mas mababa kay 40 square meters. So, after identifying the given conditions and also the unknown, alin ba yung unknown natin? Is it the length or the width? Very good. So that is the width. So we will represent it. Let's have representation. Represent the unknown using the variable. I will use x as the width to represent the width. If x is the width, therefore, the length should be x plus 6 kasi 6 meters longer than its width. That is the desired length. So, x plus 6 is equal to length. So, after forming the representation, we have to devise an equation or inequality that corresponds to the given conditions and the unknown in the problem. So, that is our step number 4. Our equation is, okay, so since we are looking for the a rectangular lot, so we will use its area. The area is length times width. Okay, now length times width is equal to area. So substituting, the length will be x plus 6 and the width is times x. It's equal to area, but it states in your problem that it should be less than 40 square meters, less than square meters. So therefore, we will represent it as less than 40. Now, applying the distributive property, we have x times x is x squared, and then 6 or positive 6 times x is equal to positive 6x, less than 40. So x squared plus 6x less than 40 is our equation. Okay? Now, let us solve for the unknown. Let's have our solution. In order to solve, here, this is our formed equation or inequality. X squared plus 6x is less than 40. The first step in solving quadratic inequality is to transform it into an equation. So instead of inequality symbol, we will use equal sign. So that is x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals, ma'am, bakit naman po naging minus 40 yan? Equals 0. Tinranspose na po natin. Tinranspose na natin yung 40 to this side. At kapag tinranspose natin, we will change its sign. So, negative 40 is equal to 0. Napalitan na rin yung inequality symbol. Naging equal sign na siya. So, the standard quadratic equation is equal to x squared plus 6x minus 40 is equal to 0. After transforming it, let us solve the quadratic equation. Solving it, I will use factoring. Factoring, so we have x plus 10 times x minus 4. Now, factors kasi ng 40 ay 10 times 4. Okay? At yung positive 10x at saka negative 4x will result to positive 6x. So, this is our factored 4. Now, forming two linear equations, x plus 10 is equal to 0 and the other one is x minus 4 is equal to 0. X plus 10 is equal to 0. So, positive 10 will be transposed to the other side. So, we have x is equal to negative 10. So, therefore, ang x natin ay negative 10. And then, x minus 4 equals to 0. Negative 4, ilipat ulit sa other side. Transform natin para ma-solve natin ang value ni x. X is equal to positive 4. So, ito yung values natin. Negative 10 and positive 4. So, therefore, the critical points are negative 10 and positive 4. So, after finding the critical points, what are we going to do? After finding the critical points, and which is we also have to consider the quadratic inequality, which is x squared plus 6x is less than 40, we have to put it in a number line. The critical points, negative 10, asan yon? Ito. If you notice, ang ginamit kong nasa number line para hindi masyadong mahaba yung number line, nag-multiples of 2 ako. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So, pwede nyo namang gamitin yon, especially if ang given number nyo ay masyadong malalaki or mataas. So, negative 4, negative 10, and positive 4. Yan. So, negative 10 and positive 4. So, ayan yung critical points natin. I use hollow points since ang given natin dito is less than. Now, after plotting our critical points, we form the 3 intervals. The first interval, ito. Ito yung first interval natin. This one. This is the second interval. And this is our third interval. Okay? Ayan. First, second, and third interval. So, we will proceed with testing a point. Testing a point, we will choose one point from each interval. So, first interval natin, choose a point. Negative 12 lang ba ang nakikita nyo dyan? Of course not. Okay, meron siyang negative 11, meron siyang negative 30, negative 40, negative 15, and so on and so forth. No? Kasi may arrow naman dito. It means it is extended. Ano? So, 10th point natin, for the first interval, I will choose negative 12 as the value of x. For the second interval, I will use 0 para madali yung ating pag-substitute. Third interval, I will choose, okay, sige, positive 6. If you notice, ang pinipili ko yung pinakamababa, no? Kasi, di ba, pag laki ng value, mas mahirap mag-multiply. So, syempre, doon tayo, syempre, ang pipiliin natin yung madadalian tayo. Ano? Now, let us do our first interval. Let us test. If x is negative 12, so therefore, this is our quadratic inequality. So, we will just substitute. Instead of writing x, we will write negative 12. Negative 12 squared plus 6 times x is negative 12 again, so less than 40. Negative 12 squared is 144. Negative 12 times negative 12 is equal to 144. And positive 6 times negative 12, the answer is negative 72, less than 40. 144 less than or minus 72, that is equal to 72, is less than 40. 72 is less than 40. Again, 72 is less than 40. Is that true or false statement? Ang 72 daw ay mas malaki kay 40. True or false? Very good. So that is a false statement. So ibig sabihin, first interval is not part of the solution set. How about our second interval? Okay, substitute natin 0. So 0 na to, 0 na to. So meaning to say 0 is less than 40. 0 is less than 40. Again, ang 0 ay mas maliit kay 40. True or false? That is correct. That is true statement. Ibig sabihin, ang lahat na nasa second interval natin ay part of the solution set. How about the third interval? Ang pinili ko ay 6, so I will use 6 squared plus 6 times 6. Okay, 6 squared is 36, times 6 times 6, 36 is less than 40. 36 plus 36 is, 36 plus 36 is 72, less than 40. 72 less than 40 is a false statement. So, therefore, again, our shaded part ay correct. So, that is the second interval. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng matatagpuan natin dito sa may shade ng yellow ay part of the solution set. Ngayon, ang tanong ko, ang 4 ba ay part of the solution set? The answer is no. Ang negative 10 ba ay part of the solution set? The answer is no. Why? Kasi po, that is not included. The critical points are not included since hollow point ang ginamit natin. Okay? Okay, of course, hindi pa natin natatapos yan ang ating problem kasi hindi pa naman natin nasasagot. Ano? So, sinabi lang natin dyan, or pinakita lang natin, we only illustrated the shaded part or the part of the solution set using the number line. We can also represent it or write the answer into a solution set, which means that ang x natin ay ano ni negative 10? Mas malaki or mas maliit kay negative 10? Okay, so nasa right side siya, so ibig sabihin mas malaki. Ano? So greater than, ibig sabihin greater than siya, greater than nakabuka kay x. Kay x nakabuka. X is greater than negative 10. But, how about kay 4? Ano naman kay 4? Kay 4 ay less than or greater than? Oh, very good. Mas maliit naman kay positive 4. So, ibig sabihin, but less than kay positive 4. So, this is our solution set. Again, x is greater than negative 10 but less than positive 4. So, this is our solution set. Okay, now, ano ba yung hinahanap natin? Therefore, what will be the possible dimensions of rectangular parking space if it should be less than 40 square meters? So, therefore, the possible dimensions of a rectangular parking space are, pag sinabing dimensions class, meaning we are looking for the for the measurements of its side. So, that would be the length and the width. Ito po yung length at width natin. Diba, ni-represent natin ang width as x at ni-represent natin ang length as x plus 6. Right? Kasi 6 meters longer than its width. So, we represent the width as x and the length as x plus 6. Now, if our width na, lahat daw po ng points na makikita natin sa solution set. So, these are negative 9. Negative 9, di ba? Part siya, negative 9. Pwede rin ang negative 8 ang width. Since ang width ay x, so negative 9, negative 8, pwede rin ang negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, 3, 2, 1, so on and so forth, hanggang positive 3. Hanggang doon, ano, ang 4 hindi na natin sinama since ito naman ay hindi included. So, hanggang 3. Kung ang width daw natin ay negative 9, ang length natin will be negative 4. So, these are the possible dimensions. Negative 9 and negative 3. Ma'am, saan nakuha si negative 3? Sinubstitute po natin kay x plus 6. Negative 9 plus 6 is equal to negative 3. Negative 8, kung ang width natin negative 8, negative 8 plus 6, that is negative 2. Negative 7 plus 6, that is negative 1. Negative 6 plus 6, that is 0. Ibig sabihin, these are the dimensions. Negative 7, negative 1, these are the possible dimensions, negative 6 and 0. But, take note, hindi po pwede natin magkaroon ng, ang width natin ay negative 6 at ang length natin ay 0. So, impossible po iyon. Ano? And also, we cannot have a solution of negative 6 at 0 kasi wala namang length na 0. Ano? And take note, wala rin po tayong negative na measurements. Ano? We cannot have a measurement of a negative number, especially if we are looking for the width and the length. So, pwede natin itong i-reject. Ano? I-reject na natin to. Hindi pwede yan. Hindi din pwede to kasi may negative. A negative 4, hindi rin pwede. Negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. So, therefore, ano lang, yung 0 at 6, pwede ba? Kaya hindi rin po. So, meaning to say, ito lang yung mga possible dimensions ng ating rectangular space, which are, the width is 1, length is 7. The width is 2, the length is 8. And when the width is 3, the length is 9. So, these are the possible dimensions. Okay? So, I hope you understand our problem and how we solve problems involving quadratic inequality. You just have to follow the steps, and also you just have to apply what we have learned in solving quadratic inequality. Okay? And now for your last task, your learning task number 4 that can be found on page 25 of your module. Your task is to solve the problem below. Show the step-by-step process and do it on a graphing paper. So your given is, the length of the floor is 32 meters longer than its width, and there is greater than 200 square meters. You will cover the floor completely with tiles. What will be the possible dimensions of the floor? So please understand the given problem and apply the steps in solving problems involving inequalities. Good luck, everyone.
So thank you so much, my dear students, for being with me in this session. I hope you learned a lot. Again, this is me, your mom, Shei, your guide in learning Mathematics 9 during the modular distance learning. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much.